Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really practical part of everyday English. How do you actually talk about things when they break? And, maybe more importantly, how do you talk about getting them fixed?
Look, life happens, right? Your phone screen gets a crack, your car gets a dent, a button pops off your favorite shirt. It's just a universal thing.
And that's why knowing the right way to talk about these problems and, how to solve them is so essential. So let's just jump right in and master the key phrases you're going to need.
Okay, so first things first. Before you can even think about getting something fixed, you've got to be able to point out the problem, right? How do you say that some kind of action is required?
A messy room like this is just the perfect example. This is great structure we can use that puts all the focus on the problem itself, not on who's supposed to deal with it. It's super direct and clear. The room needs to be cleaned.
And hey, here's the cool part. There's a formula for this. It's a really simple but powerful pattern you can use in almost any situation. You just take the thing, add need or needs, then to be, and you finish it with the action verb, but in its past participle form. Like cleaned, fixed, or replaced.
And this just shows you how flexible that little formula is. Here, we've got more than one car, right? So the structure works perfectly for plural stuff, too. You just have to make sure you use the right form of the verb need.
Okay, so let's just nail this down. The key difference is super simple. For one thing, like the phone, you use needs with an S. For more than one thing, like the cars, you just use need. So, one phone needs to be fixed. 2 or 3 or 100 cars need to be repaired. Getting this little detail right makes a huge difference in sounding natural.
All right, so we know how to identify the problem, but what about when you're not the one doing the fixing? What's the right language for when you hire a professional to do the work for you?
Yeah, there's a special grammar tool for this. It's called the causative, and it's what you use anytime you cause an action to happen, usually by paying or asking someone else to do it. The pattern is pretty simple. Have or get, then the object, and then that past participle again.
Now this next part is absolutely critical. A tiny little change in how you say something can completely flip the meaning of who is actually doing the work.
So, when you say, I painted my house, what does that mean? It means you. You were up on the ladder, paintbrush in hand, doing all the work yourself. It's all about your own direct action.
But if you switch it up and say, I had my house painted, well, that's a whole different story. This means you hired a professional painter. You arranged for it to happen, but you weren't the one doing the actual painting.
So you see the difference, right? It's huge. I painted my house, that's you doing the work. I had my house painted, you hired a pro. And using this correctly is really important, especially when you're talking about paying for services.
And you know what's really great about this? This whole causative structure is incredibly versatile. Look at this table. It works in pretty much any tense you can think of. You can talk about having something done right now, yesterday, or tomorrow, just by changing the tense of have or get.
All right, let's wrap up with one last, super useful piece of grammar that's actually related to everything we've been talking about. We're going to see how those same verbs can be turned into really powerful descriptive words. Think about it. Words like broken, torn, or decorated, they all started out as action words, as verbs, but they can also work as adjectives to describe the condition of something. This sentence is a perfect example. See that word broken? It's the past participle of to break. But what's it doing here? It's describing the phone. It's not just any phone, it's a broken phone.
Okay, but here's where it can get a little tricky but also really cool. Participles can also describe our feelings, but you have to be careful. Using the form with ing versus the one with ed creates two totally different meanings.
Here's the key. The easiest way to remember this is the present participle, the ing form, describes the thing that causes the feeling. So the cat was frightening. The past participle, the ed form, describes the feeling you have. I was frightened of the cat. So a movie is boring, and that makes you feel bored.
Okay, you've learned all the rules, you've seen the patterns. Let's do a couple of quick practice rounds to lock it all in.
All right, first one. Picture this. You're at a super busy train station. They need to make announcements fast and clear. How could you make this sentence shorter and punchier?
Yes, that's it. You just swap out which is arriving for the single word arriving. The sentence becomes so much smoother. The train arriving on platform 3. It's a pattern you'll hear all the time in English. All right, let's do one more. This time, it's all about feelings. The news itself was the cause of the feeling.
So, how would you describe how Jack felt?
He was disappointed, of course, because the news was disappointing. See how that works? And that's a wrap on our explainer. From getting your car fixed to describing a scary movie, these patterns are absolutely everywhere. Now that you know what to look for, go out there and start using them to describe your world.